Hi, Danville. Alan Sills here, Chief of Police for the town. We're 10-8 in service, which means we're here to make people's lives better. And we do that by safeguarding the lives, rights, and property of the people we serve. We've got something pretty cool. This year, Lindsay Ortiz, our community outreach coordinator, she, if you notice, for the last 2 years, we've actually done these ornaments. Well, the ornament just came in, and we're going to be actually giving these out at the Danville tree lighting at the Vets Hall. So, we normally post up at the Vets Hall, kind of where CBC is and Starbucks and all that. We're all kind of right in that corner. Well, we have our new ornament, and I'm going to show it to you tonight. But if you want to catch one of these, come down and see us at the tree lighting. This is what the ornament looks like. So pretty cool ornament. You can get yours. Come check us out, say hi, and see us on arguably one of the coolest nights in town. All right, so as usual, we want you to download the FEMA All Hazards Guide, the Wildfire Preparedness Evacuation Guide, sign up for Community Warning System, and make sure you visit PG&E's website. A lot of good information in there. Don't want you to miss it. We're going to run through the crime real quick, a little bit more than the last couple of weeks. If you remember the last couple of weeks, we had one, maybe two Part 1 crimes. It was really good. Kudos to all of you. A little bit more this week. But we also want to describe what is the difference between a burglary, because sometimes we'll classify, someone will go in and they'll steal some alcohol from the store. In one case, it's a burglary. In one case, it's a shoplifting. What's the difference, right? As always, you can go to communitycrimemap.com and you can get the information there on crime happening in your area. You can also set up alerts, and you can get sexual offender registry information there. Collisions. Well, if it wasn't for some nasty potholes, we would have had a pretty good week. But on the 7th, we had actually 3 collisions. 2 were reported in one event, and that was a vehicle damage caused when 2 cars collided with potholes, and this was in the roadway of San Ramon Valley Boulevard near Signal Valley Road. And then on the 7th, we also had a non-injury collision. This was down on Mission near Camino Ramon. The 2 that you see up there, that is a misprint. We didn't have those 2. Those are actually on Mount Diablo Boulevard in Lafayette. Crime. I know there's only 4 entries, but 2 of those have double lists on there. So we had 4 total thefts and 1 burglary, or 2 reports of burglary at 1 location. All right, on the 8th, we had a theft of a scooter, and this is from in front of the Black Bear Diner, and this happened between 9:20 and 9:30 at night. It was unlocked in front of the store there, and someone took it. On the 10th, this is when we had a lot of the thefts that we had. It looked like we had thefts from 2 unlocked vehicles, and that was on Maplewood Drive. That's actually, if you don't know where that is, that's way out. Sorry, I'm going to try to zoom in here. That's way out east here, so we usually don't get very much crime out there. It's a small neighborhood. But we had theft from property, or thefts from unlocked cars out in that area. And then we had some theft from unlocked vehicle, and that was on Fostoria Way. And this was on the 8th. A little bit wider window. This was between the 8th and the 10th, so we're not really sure on the time frame on that. And then we had 2 thefts of alcohol from Bevmo. These are considered burglaries, and they were both reported on the 10th, but one took place on the 7th at about 2:35 p.m. and the other took place on the 8th at about 7:02 p.m. So I'll skip. Let's do the arrest log first, and then I'm going to go and I'll talk about the definitions. All right, the arrest log. So these are the arrests that occurred in Danville by Danville officers. On the 8th, we arrested a man for DUI after he was found driving his vehicle on Sycamore Valley Road near Brookside. And then on the 9th, we made a traffic stop, and we found that someone had a warrant for his arrest for DUI out of Contra, Costa County, and that was on Lagonda Way in El Cerro, so really right next to the police department. All right, so a lot of times there's a misunderstanding. So and what I want to do is I want to cover what the law says a shoplifting is, and then what the law says a burglary is. And there's a new penal, it's not actually new, it's maybe 5 or 10 years old, for shoplifting, because they wanted to break that out from the crime of burglary or petty theft. So let's take a look at what shoplifting says. And this is from the California Jury Instructions. There is a link down in the description. So if you want to check out other crimes, or you want to check out this crime and look at some of the other definitions, you can do that. There's a link down in the description. This is what a judge would read to a jury when they are trying a case to determine if the person did in fact commit that crime. So it says the defendant is charged with, in count 1, with shoplifting in violation of Penal Code Section 459.5. To prove that, the people must prove that, and to the people being, in our case, usually the district attorney's office, the defendant entered a commercial establishment, so a business. When the defendant entered the commercial establishment, it was open during regular business hours and when he or she entered the commercial establishment, he or she intended to commit the theft. All right, so this is different than, say, maybe a child goes into the store with their parents, and then after, this 15-year-old child enters the store with their parents, they look and they say, wow, I'd really like that Red Bull, that Snicker bar, whatever it may be. And they form the intent to steal after entering. And then they take that item and they leave. So that is just simple petty theft. That's not shoplifting. Shoplifting, the intent has to be formed prior to going in. And so let's look at some of the caveats here. To decide whether the defendant intended to commit the theft, please refer to separate instructions, and they have those. But the defendant does not need to actually have committed the theft so long as they entered the store with the intent to do so. A person enters a structure if some part of his or her body penetrates the areas inside structures' outer boundaries. So you can reach through a window. You just have to make some entry into that structure. All right, now let's look and this will kind of make this a little more concrete when we look at burglary, because burglary has a little bit of a different definition, and it is the defendant entered a building structure, and when he or she entered the building, he or she had the intent to commit a theft or any felony. And let's look at the rest here. And it says, if evidence supports a defense of 459.5, then they will read these other sections. And 3A states, and the value of the property taken or intended to be taken was more than $950. 3B is the structure that the defendant entered was a non-commercial establishment, or the structure was a commercial establishment that the defendant entered during non-business hours. So remember, for shoplifting, the store has to be open, they have to enter, and this one, commercial burglary, provides that the property has to be under $950. So if it's over $950, if the business is closed, or it's not a business, if it's a home, it's going to be a burglary. So for shoplifting, they have to enter a building that's a commercial building. They have to do so with the intent to commit the theft, and then they have to that theft has to be under $950. And the reason there's a difference between those two is they carry different penalties, and so that's why they broke those out. So that's why sometimes when I say, hey, there was a theft at Bevmo, sometimes I tell you it's a theft. In this case, both of these, the value was so high, and it's apparent that they had the intent prior to going in, that they were above that $950. So both were classified as burglaries. And so that's the difference there. All right. As always, live show. So if you had questions, happy to answer them live during the chat. If not, we're more than happy to answer them afterwards. That is all we have, but I do want to remind everybody, I'll be actually retiring at the end of the year. Tom Rosberg, lieutenant with the sheriff's office, has been named the new chief for Danville. He will start on January 1st. And so you will look forward to seeing him. And as a reminder, Tom has worked in Danville before. He was actually our canine handler for a little bit. So here's some pictures of Tom. Totally into the community outreach, the public trust, all of that stuff. He's also served 4 years over as the investigations sergeant in Lafayette. So he's got a lot of municipal policing experience within the sheriff's office. And then, of course, he has the big agency experience, as most of us do, coming from the sheriff's office. That provides a lot of good experience right down here in Danville. All right. So as always, if you can download the FEMA All Hazards Guide, the Wildfire Preparedness Evacuation Guide, make sure you log in and sign up for the Community Warning System and visit the PG&E website. I am 10-10 for the night. That means I'm off duty, but we're always 10-8 in service to all of you. Have a good night, Danville.